What's going on, guys? My name is Eric, and this is First Thing in the Morning, the only show where we roll out of bed, start playing some games. And this is another Q&A video. Yesterday, I answered all your video game related questions. Now today, I'm going to answer your wrestling related questions. Let's do this! Alright, so our first question is from Ben at YQuai on Twitter, and you can also check out his website, www.voxpopulous.com, for all kinds of great podcasts. Listen to all of them twice. Alright, so he brings up the fact that I did a WrestleMania week last week here on the show, and he surmised from that I like wrestling. So he wants to know, when did I start watching and enjoying professional wrestling? Much like video gaming, I have no idea. All I know is that I used to watch it when I was a little broski with my dad. The first wrestling memory I have is of Hulk Hogan. So, big Hulk Hogan fan since I was a little kid. I had all kinds of action figures of his, and I've pretty much grown up. I maybe took a small break, like 2 or 3 years during the Cena-Orton main event all the time nonsense. But besides that, I've been a loyal WWE fan. I also like all kinds of other wrestling promotions off the top of my head. Ring of Honor comes to mind. I'm also a big fan of Lucha Underground, even though I hate the backstage stuff, but I love the wrestling. So yeah, so I've basically been a wrestling fan my entire life. Rocky's back at RockyBaya on Twitter. He wants to know, are you a regular fixture on the Kayfabe Today podcast? For those of you who don't know, I sometimes appear on a podcast on Kayfabe Today. You can find it at kayfabetoday.wordpress.com, and I also write their SmackDown reviews. There's been 5 or 6 episodes now, and I've been on 3 of them. If you want to call that a regular fixture, then sure, I guess I am. I'm not going to be on every week. I'm on when they ask me to be on, and I pretty much always accept whenever they need me, because I really like talking with those guys, and it's a lot of fun. I might not be on every week, but I'm on quite often because I think they like me. And secondly, how did I get into or onto the podcast? They just asked me when they were doing their first episode. They asked me if I wanted to be on it, and I said yeah. So that's kind of that story. I guess if you want the story of how I started writing from them, because it was the writing that led to me being on the podcast, I tweet so much on Monday nights during Monday Night Raw, and a lot of people seem to pay attention to it. I'm not always sure why they do, but they do. And Elliot at Specific Luchador on Twitter, I guess he paid attention, or he saw some of my tweets, he liked my style or whatever. And he just asked me one day if I wanted to write a review for SmackDown. At first, I wasn't too sure if I was going to do it, because I wasn't sure if he would let me do the style that I wanted to do, because I don't write serious reviews. I look at the lighter side of things. I try to make fun of stuff. Some people might see that as disrespectful, but the way I see it, you make fun of the stuff you love the most, so that's why I do it. But yeah, so that's how I got into the podcast and on Kayfabe Today. Again, you can see all my reviews, and you can find the podcast at kayfabetoday.wordpress.com, or you could go to Ben's website at voxpopulous.com to find it there as well. Alright, next up we got Melody at MelodyAnd227 on Twitter. Go give her a follow. Have you ever considered doing a Raw or SmackDown recap show? I think you'd be awesome at it. Actually, I have. When I first started thinking about making a YouTube channel, it was either going to be a wrestling channel or a video game channel. A video game channel at the time seemed a lot easier for me to do, because I know a lot about wrestling, but I know a little bit more about video games. So I did that, but I've been getting so many requests recently for doing either a podcast or some sort of video show or a recap show or something like that, that I'm seriously considering cutting back the number of episodes of First Thing in the Morning to 1 a week, and adding either wrestling video show or a wrestling podcast to the mix. If the demand is there, I will do it. This channel, this show, everything would be nothing if it wasn't for you guys. It'd just be me sitting talking at my webcam. I guess Heisenberg would be here too. She has to do this video. Hello. But yeah, like I said, if you want to see me do more wrestling related stuff, which if the views on my videos are any indication you guys do, leave me a comment or hit me up on Twitter and let me know, and whatever you guys want to see, I'll do. Okay, so our next question comes from Crystal. Larry Crystal on Twitter. I'm sorry, I really hope I said that right. That's awesome that you're expanding. I don't know too much about video gaming, however, I love wrestling. So, what I want to know is, who is your all-time favorite wrestler? This was asked from a couple of people. Roxy at Roxy Toxic was another one who asked this pretty much exact same question. That's really easy for me. There's one guy who has been my favorite since I was a kid, and that's Owen Hart. He is, in my opinion, the better of the Harts. He's one of the greatest technical wrestlers of all time, and he is one of the tragically most underrated wrestlers that has ever stepped foot inside a WWF/WWE ring. You hear great Owen stories about the backstage Owen Hart, where he was always ribbing people and making jokes, making people laugh. I thought he was a great heel character. I mean, you just have to look at the stuff that he did with his brother Brett, Davey Boy Smith, Brian Pillman, when they were like the Canadian faction against the American faction, and like kind of kicked off the Attitude Era. So without a doubt, hands down, my favorite professional wrestler, which by the way is the only professional wrestler I've ever met in person. It's Owen Hart. It's always going to be Owen Hart, and it'll never change. Owen Hart is the best. He will always be the best. All right, Crystal continues. My favorite match. Favorite match. There's so many, but whenever someone asks me this question, the same match always pops into my head. It's Bret versus Owen Hart. Bret Hart versus Owen Hart at WrestleMania 10. The reason being is they told such a great story about Owen being the underdog, about Bret being better than Owen, and Owen wins the match in the end with a roll-up, I believe. But at the end of the night, Bret Hart wins the WWF Championship, and Owen Hart comes out with a look on his face, just like, what do I have to do to beat you? And it's just stuck with me ever since I saw that. Just the story they told about Owen finally beating his brother, finally proving that he is the better between the two, and then later in the night, Bret one-ups him by winning the championship. Great piece of storytelling, and probably my favorite match of all time. Why do I think wrestling fans are so fickle? I don't know if the wrestling fans are fickle. I think wrestling fans have to deal with a lot of bullshit and a lot of really bad storylines. I'm not really one to complain about in-ring product. Most of the time, I'm really happy or satisfied with the matches that I'm presented with. My main problem with today's current WWE product is the storylines, as in there are none. If you're not in the top angle, you don't really have a consistent storyline. Here's a guy, here's another guy. It's not compelling. It seems they forgot how to build the mid-card talent to one day push them to the upper levels. So I guess that's why fans can seem like they're fickle. One day they'll love a guy and the next day they'll hate him. But I'd rather blame WW Creative instead of the fans, because the fans are the passionate ones. The fans are the ones that fill up the building. And if they don't like what they see, more power to you. Just make your voice be heard. It worked out for Daniel Bryan, didn't it? Alright, so finally, I completely forgot, but I have two questions here that have nothing to do with wrestling or video games. So I'm going to stick them in here. Jay Baca at Tweets of Jay Baca, who you can also hear as the official WLW Studios Lucha Liaison on The Final Say with my broski, Handsome Dan, over at WLWstudios.com. Go give him a listen for your exclusive next day reviews of Lucha Underground. Fantastic stuff. Go check him out. Alright, he wants to know, what music do I like and what music do I not like? When I got this question, I was so happy because I listen to the shittiest music you've ever heard. I only really like two bands. If I said I liked any more than two bands, I would be a liar, because there's only two bands that I can honestly say I've listened to everything they've ever put out, and that is the Doors, which if you don't know the Doors, go listen to them now, and the Beatles. So I got two bands and I tattooed them both on my body because that's the kind of guy I am. But the thing is I don't particularly like bands. I like songs. So I'll be like, oh, I love that song, and then you'll play me the rest of the album, and I don't care. Music I don't like weird shit that sounds weird and has like weird lyrics just for the sake of being weird. I usually see right through that, so I'm not a big fan of that. Not a big fan of electronic music. I really don't like dubstep. Dubstep to me sounds as if you put like musical instruments into a wood chipper and then just recorded the sound of them being chipped to death. Is that what a wood chipper does? It chips? That's what dubstep sounds to me. If that upsets you, go fuck yourself. And finally, Rocky Bio once again, my man asks me, are you a Marvel or a DC fan? Well, let me put it to you this way. I like Spider-Man. So there you have it. That was first thing in the morning's wrestling Q&A. If you would like to see more of these videos, you know what to do. Just keep asking me questions on Twitter, and I will keep making these videos for you. It would be my pleasure. Now, if you enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe. Go check out the Facebook fan page, facebook.com/FTitM, and click the little like button. For all the latest first thing in the morning news, be sure to follow me at MTLBroski on Twitter and on Instagram. And as always, be good to each other. Don't be assholes online when you're gaming. And be sure to check back this weekend where I play The Walking Dead Michonne Part 2.